Hello people of the earth and welcome back to QuickSaveTV. My name is Mike and today we're taking a look at the Reaper, one of the custom classes added in the XCOM 2 War of the Chosen DLC. Now, the Reaper is really unlike any other class in the game. There is no other class that even remotely can do what Reaper does, and today we're going to take a look at that in case you're having troubles with Reapers. Like, one of my good friends says like, man, I hate Reaper, he seems so weak and useless. I'll try to explain why he's not, and how you can best use him on the field of battle, what makes him tick, what's so powerful about the Reaper, right? And why he can essentially just completely transform the way you play the game. Now, first and foremost, let's take a look at the lore and what Reaper does. The lore of Reapers is this, right? They have their leader, Volk, which they respect personally. They are very fiercely independent, and not only that, they are very self-reliant. They do not rely on others very much. They do not like to work with others necessarily. They are independent, fierce stalkers. They actually hunt aliens for food and eat them, and their goal is to throw them off their planet, throw them back, fight them off, and to earn once again the freedom of the earth for people, for humans, because the alien occupation must stop, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to lift it, right? And what are they going to do? They're going to hunt them, right? They're going to hunt them until aliens finally fuck off the planet. This is their lore, right? The role of the Reaper on the battlefield is sabotage, subterfuge, and scouting. So it's not primarily dealing damage. Even though they use a sniper rifle, the subterfuge and sabotage is what they excel at. Sniper rifle is basically a secondary weapon, and I'll explain to you why. Let's take a close look at their abilities. We're going to take a look at everything. Don't worry, we're going to take it slow, take it easy. So the core of the Reaper is the Shadow and Claymore Mine. Claymore Mine is... Reaper technically does not have a normal slot for an additional item, and because additional class, the Reaper class cannot equip any other armor, he's basically stuck without an utility slot, which is a big pain in the ass. And if you're able to get tactical rigging, essentially a very powerful addition to your character class. If you're able to lucky to get tactical rigging, it's just so very much important, and you must have it. It helps dramatically to just get this additional layer of freedom, to get this additional ammo, whatever ammo you're going to use, maybe Mind Shield. Mind Shield has been instrumental to me personally. There's so many good things that you're going to be able to use. Mimic Beacon is okay too, but whatever. And the first thing basically is the Shadow, right? Shadow is a unique form of concealment, and the biggest thing that it does to you is it makes the enemy detection radius of you not 5 or 6 squares like it normally is for other characters, but 1 square. Which means that enemy has to get really lucky, or you have to get yourself in a really bad position for the enemy to spot you. Also, whenever you use, let's say you fire from stealth, there is a chance that you will be revealed. It is not a guaranteed certainty, which means that a lot of times you can avoid detection, and it's really good when you have to, you want to help your team, but you really want to maintain your defection. Oh my god, yeah, you maintain your stealth, right? Your shadow concealment. Also, you have an extra charge of shadow that you can use, in the field of battle once per mission, but you have to be in cover to do that. You cannot be flanked. If you're flanked or in the open field, you cannot use it. So you have to be careful and smart about the way you use it, and you only have to break your concealment. And listen to me, right? Listen to me closely. You only do that when there is categorically no better way to do that. This is your last resort, right? Ideally, you never want to break your concealment as a Reaper. Ideally, you want to run around in stealth forever, or for as long as you can, until you see no other way to contribute to your team and think this is going to be the best possible outcome by breaking stealth. Because your stealth is the core skill of the class, and staying in stealth is vital. So there are three class specializations: stealth, saboteur, and marksman. And they are very self-explanatory, I think, but we're going to go through all the abilities. In stealth, the ability target definition allows you to permanently mark enemies that Reaper has seen. When Reaper is scouting ahead with his increased mobility from the shadow, it's +5 mobility, right? So it means plus, I think 3.5 squares of movement. This one is instrumental. When you have to know where enemies are, when you have to avoid enemy movements, and when you have to plan ahead, target definition is indisposable. Because once Reaper marks a target, it is never going anywhere. You always know what it is. You can use your other characters to try to set up the AoE abilities on top of these guys, and they are always the prey until you get bored with them, right? The next one is the Silent Killer. Silent Killer is very, very important, and it actually unlocks the class in many ways. Silent Killer allows you to, whenever you kill the target with your vector rifle, you do not break your concealment. So the chance to break shadow is not 50% or 80% later, right? It's 0%. Which means you can easily clean up the kills when you have to, when you want to, by finishing off the weak enemies and not breaking the concealment. And the next one is Sting. Sting is the ability that allows you to fire a shot from shadow. It only has one charge, if I do not mistake. I don't understand why it says 3-turn cooldown. I think it has like one charge. If it's cooldown, if they change it for cooldown, it's really nice. But you know, having one charge of this is kind of sucky, but it's actually really good because it allows you to, sometimes you just have to take a shot, you know, and you really don't want to lose your concealment, and it's very important that you do not lose your concealment. So using this ability can be very useful, but it has a very limited utility, and you have to know when you have to use it, right? It's not something you have to jump to, right? It's kind of a free shot, but you have to be smart about the way you use it. So as you can see, all of his abilities rely on you being clever, right? You have to be sneaky, clever, tricky. You have to be a true guerrilla master, right? Otherwise you're gonna fail on Reaper, trust me. Now the Saboteur, my favorite tree, hands down. Every single thing, except maybe Distraction, in Saboteur 3 is absolutely amazing. Let's start off. So Claymore, the way Claymore works, it would make you think that it's a mine. It is not. It is an explosive that has to be triggered remotely by you, right, by a shot. You don't have to trigger it as Reaper, but destroying it as Reaper does not break your stealth, right? So it's 0% chance to break stealth. Your teammates can also shoot it, which is a really good way to do that when you have squad sight or whatever. It's a really good shot to activate it. And explosives also will activate Claymore. Now Claymore is really powerful because it allows you to use this ability from stealth. You can remotely activate pods, for example. So yeah, it has a lot of uses, honestly. You can shred armor, activate pods remotely, deal extra damage, try to set up environmental chain explosives. It's a very interesting ability to use, and only your imagination is the limit. Remote Start is a very powerful ability. It allows you to deal double damage from environmental explosives. Using your rifle, you basically blow up a car, a barrel, whatever can blow up, you can blow up remotely, and it does not break your stealth. Very important, again, right? You see, it's a recurring feature, right? Not breaking your stealth is very important, so you never want to break it. As long as you have bullets, you can pop all kinds of stuff, but it ends your turn. It also deals double damage and has double range. Now, sometimes you can find those amazing explosives that if you pop them, you deal catastrophic damage to the enemy and you break their armor. It is a very powerful ability. It's one of my favorite abilities in the game, and it absolutely changes the way you play the game, right? As you stalk your prey, as you're trying to find a better vector of assault, it's a very powerful ability. Shrapnel adds 3 damage to your Claymore and +1 radius. It's a very powerful ability, especially if later you take the Highlands, which gives you an additional Claymore explosive instead. So having +1 radius is very important because it transforms from 3x3 to 5x5, which is colossal. And having +3 damage is very good because it deals more damage. It allows you to one-shot several enemies just outright. Advanced troopers, for example, die to it easily. It deals catastrophic damage to sectoids. Even on legend difficulty, it's a very powerful ability to have, and it softens everyone up. It's such a powerful way to just prepare them to be killed by other people, by other members of your team. Distraction allows you to, whenever you get a kill with Claymore, it puts you back into shadow. Normally, you only have yeah, it's an important thing to know. As long as Claymore kills someone, it doesn't matter who activated it. But the problem with this ability is that you benefit from it only if you're away from stealth, you know? And it's very difficult to utilize it properly. Like, you would have to use it beforehand, and it's kind of difficult to throw the Claymore in a relevant position. Or using it in your turn, it's kind of awkward again, because like you have to throw it, then you need to ask one of your teammates to pop it. Like, it's a very bothersome ability. But if you are working with your sniper, working with your sharpshooter, you can actually make it work. But I'm not a big fan of this ability personally, but it definitely has its uses. The next one is Highlands. Highlands is super self-explanatory. It gives you additional it gives you additional charge of a Claymore mine. It's a very powerful thing because Claymore is your secondary weaponry of weapon type, especially the way you can use it. You can blow people up, shred armor. I told you already, right? Having two of them is super good, and you can use two of them at the same time, so there's basically nothing stopping you. And the next one is even more fun. It's called the homing mine, and the way it works is that instead of placing your Claymore on the ground somewhere, you can stick it to the enemy. Why would you do that? So let's say you found a gatekeeper or a sectopod, right, or Andromedon. All of these enemies are notorious for being massive pieces of shit. Why? Because they're very difficult to kill, right? You have to shred their armor, they're so fucking obnoxious, right? And so, if you don't want to use your Claymore in a certain situation, you can just stick it to a gatekeeper, stick it to Andromedon, and when your team finally has to engage them, they're gonna have an upper hand because the explosive will go off, shred some of their armor, and it's gonna be a fantastic day for you. So that's the Saboteur tree. The next one is the Marksman tree. Marksman tree amplifies your usage of your vector rifle and allows you to get additional things. So Blood Trail deals +1 damage to the enemy if the enemy was wounded this turn. It's a very good ability when you have to finish the enemy off, because the Vector Sniper Rifle doesn't deal a lot of damage. So having this Blood Trail ability allows you to finish the enemy off, and it synergizes with your Silent Killer and the Soul Harvest. These three are an excellent combination: Blood Trail, Silent Killer, and Soul Harvest, and I'll explain to you why. It's a really, really good ability. It doesn't sound like so strong, but it is actually really good. Needle allows you to have armor penetration. It is very important for several reasons, and it's even better when you have Needle and Shredder, which allows you to easily handle Chosen, Gatekeepers, Andromedons, and Sectopods. Whomever you choose to target, whomever you choose to destroy, Needle will allow you to do it much, much, much easier, but it only applies to you when you're in shadow. So essentially, for the first shot of Banish, right, not too good, or as you're trying to finish them off. When you're trying to finish them off, it's actually very important, as I said, because often enemies will have 1 or 2 armor, you know, very weak enemies. The things from top of my head, mutants, right? Fucking chrysalids, Advent troopers, Advent priests, shield bearers. Very often will have armor. So having this thing is just so immensely important. It can help you so much in dealing with these targets. Someone's calling, but I have to answer later. Soul Harvest allows you to stack up to 20% the critical chance as you kill the targets. You only have to kill 4 targets, basically last hit them, so that you get a full benefit from this ability. And obviously it applies only to your Vector Rifle, so you have to painstakingly stack it up. Катюк, возьми, пожалуйста, телефон. Кать, мама звонит. Возьми, пожалуйста, телефон. Позвони ей или что. Okay, so Soul Harvest, once you finally stack it to 4 points, you have 20% crit chance, which is really strong, especially if you have a laser sight attachment on your weapon, because it allows you to have higher critical chance than a sniper would have. Sharpshooters on base have 10% crit chance, so you can have 20% crit chance on Reaper, but you have to stack it up, much like a Templar would stack his focus passive up. Banish is actually, it could be at the ultimate. It's an extremely powerful ability, and it's ability that this ability is actually a very good reason to break your shadow concealment, because of just how devastating it is. Just listen to this: fire at target until you run out of ammo or it dies. Reveals the Reaper. Now, this is your ultimate, right? When you have to kill the Chosen, Sectopod, Gatekeeper, whatever is difficult to kill, you banish him to hell that he came from, and you fire on him until you run out of bullets. Your sniper rifle doesn't do a lot of damage, but having this ability, having so many powerful shots in a row, is just such a powerful addition. Что ты делаешь? Возьми телефон, я не могу с ней поговорить. Ты поговори с ней. Я занят сейчас. So having this powerful ability is just such a powerful addition. And it allows, this is just super fucking annoying, I apologize, right? So having this ability is a really good way to open up from stealth and annihilate an especially powerful target. It is immensely important to use it on the right time because it's a one charge ability, but when you use it, trust me, it's gonna hurt and it's gonna deal catastrophic damage to the enemy. Now, Annihilate allows you to use Banish to, which I don't really like, honestly. Annihilate is the last thing that you get, like it's an extension of your Banish. It allows you to keep hitting targets once you kill the first target of Banish. But honestly, in my opinion, it's such a terrible extension of Banish. I would rather prefer to deal more damage to a single target because, I mean, there are situations when Annihilate is good. When it's like, okay, you're the last man standing, let's say, and you really have to make the Banish count. But honestly, it shouldn't come to this, right? And Banish is just so much better at destroying a single target. As it comes to, so that's the core abilities, right? As it comes to the XCOM abilities, there's a whole bunch of stuff that can be really useful, right? But probably my favorites are the Tactical Regen, just to have this extra slot because you don't have any slots by default, and Shredder, to shred the enemy armor. Holo targeting is not super useful because you're the one last hitting usually, but holo targeting can be really good for the Banish. I think it synergizes, but I cannot be sure, to be honest. Squad sight is abhorrent on the Reaper. You can use it, but it's 100% not necessary. And Deadeye is actually fine. Deadeye is pretty fine because Reaper has very high accuracy by default. Now, okay, so now that we talked about abilities, and before I lose my voice, let's talk about the weapon, right? What is the weapon that you're using? Your weapon is the Vector Rifle that is really reminiscent of the Dragunov Sniper Rifle and really tickles my fancy in all the right ways. Now, Vector Rifle is really weak compared to the Sniper Rifle. However, you have to remember, right? If Reaper actually had access to the normal Sniper Rifle and would be able to fire it with one action point, that would be fucking broken. Now, this rifle has only 3 bullets, just as a normal Sniper Rifle. It deals 3 to 4 damage as opposed to 4 to 6, right? So it's much lower, but it can be fired with one action point. It does not lose accuracy in close quarters, so it can be fired from pretty good range, and it's in close quarters, it's not useless. And it fits the style of the Reaper, to be honest. So this is the final tier of it, the Shadowlands, right? And I'll try to tell you how best to utilize the thing. But before that, this is your core gear, and if you have the Tactical Regen, you will be able to equip one of the items. Now, the 2 best items that you can equip on the Reaper are Mind Shield, to make sure that no one can ever mind control you. It's really important. If you ever get spotted, being mind controlled can be a death sentence for a Reaper. And bullets. Blue screen rounds, poison rounds, fire rounds, anything that you can get your hands on is very, very good. So AP rounds can be really good because it's 5 armor piercing. It's actually quite insane. In combination with Banish, it can be really powerful. Venom rounds, Dragon rounds, all of these are really, really powerful. It can be really, really powerful and useful. Okay, so that's the weapon. How do we actually customize the weapon, right? I have to wrap it up, guys, but I'll try to be, as detailed as possible. My favorite upgrade is the Superior Expanded Magazine, because it synergizes with your Banish. Having more bullets when you open up with your Banish is very important, because every single shot counts, and if you're able to connect all 7 of them, the damage will be catastrophic. And my second favorite upgrade is the Laser Sight. Reaper already has really good chance to hit the target because of his innately very high accuracy, and because you open up from a very comfortable position for yourself from ambush, right? Because you're very mobile and very strong. Having Laser Sight and Expanded Magazine will give you in total plus 40% crit chance, remember, and if he's flanked, plus 40% more, so it's 80% crit chance. 20% comes from the Stuck in Soul Harvest, right? And having Expanded Magazine will make your Banish, basically it's a Banish one-shot insane, right? Either you one-shot the target, or you deal such catastrophic damage, then the target is no longer of any relevance, no longer has any consequence on the field of battle. This is the way we would do it. Also, a little neat trick: pick the most brightest color you can find, right? And then let's remove the tundra pattern. See how it looks. Shit, right? But add the tundra, and it kind of looks like worn wood. Delicious, isn't it? Okay, this is it. And now the combat sims, the last thing I wanted to mention. My personal recommendation, mobility, right? Mobility is everything to a Reaper. You get +5 mobility from being in your concealment, and having +4 mobility just essentially doubles it, right? Perception is of no consequence because the perception of Reaper is very high, but it's on its own. Superior conditioning of no consequence. You never fight on Reaper, as I explained to you. You always sit in stealth, you sabotage, you break enemy movements, and you open with Banish to finish the game, to kill the critical target. Dodge is okay-ish, but mobility. Will is kind of irrelevant on the Reaper, to be honest. Mobility is single best stat on the Reaper, and the one I recommend you to have. 17 by default, +5 from concealment, 22 on mobility. He can cover distance that is double of what soldiers can cover with 2 turns. Imagine, right? It's an immensely powerful class, but you have to be very clever in the way you use him. I thank you so much for watching and listening. This has been the second guide video. Now I only have to redo the Templar. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to tell me in comments any questions you have. I'll be glad to answer you. Don't watch the low kills. This guy has been instrumental to my victories. I thank you so much for watching and listening. Do not forget to like the video and share if you enjoyed it. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.